Hello everyone, and welcome back to Reddit Stories for Sleep. Today we'll be discussing 3 separate stories from Reddit, complete with updates whilst I play the cozy game. You should note, however, that the first story does contain loose details of domestic abuse. Let's get into the stories. Am I the asshole for telling my daughter her much older boyfriend isn't welcome in our home? My, female 48, husband, male 46, and I have a 20-year-old daughter, Ellie, who is currently on vacation from college. About 5 months ago or so, Ellie told us that she had a new boyfriend, who I'll call Tom. This came rather out of the blue, as Ellie hadn't mentioned seeing anyone or that she was dating, but both my husband and I were supportive and happy for her. However, Ellie was strangely secretive about the whole situation. Usually, she's an open book, especially with me, and would always share details of her personal life. On this occasion, she wouldn't show any pictures, and we knew next to no information about Tom, other than that they met at a party through a mutual friend. Ellie spent the past month of her vacation in her college town, and the plan was always for her to come back this weekend. Ellie asked if she could bring Tom with her for a few days of the trip, as they were getting serious, and she wanted him to meet us. Although we mentioned that we barely knew anything about him, Ellie expressed that it would be a surprise and that we'd love him. Given he's clearly an important part of our daughter's life, we agreed and said we'd look forward to spending the weekend together. Yesterday morning, we went to pick up Ellie and Tom from the airport to drive them to our place, and we were shocked. We knew instantly that Tom was much older than Ellie, and he certainly wasn't a college student. I was just in a state of surprise but didn't want to cause a scene, and told my husband to do the same. We drove home, but it was a frosty journey, which Ellie commented on. When we arrived, oh my goodness, wait, I've read ahead. When we arrived, my husband point blank asked Tom how old he was. Tom said he was 44. I was immediately disgusted. He's only 2 years younger than my husband and old enough to be Ellie's father. My husband continued to interrogate him, asking how they met and the whole background. Ellie explained that it was at a party and Tom was there because he's well known around the town, and they realised he had a lot in common and hit it off from there. I really didn't want to hear any more, and my husband told Tom to leave. Ellie shouted and said how unfair this was, and we hadn't even given Tom a chance, and that he made her happy. Tom could sense the tension, so left, and Ellie followed behind him. Sensed the tension when he was literally asked to leave. I texted Ellie to tell her we'd love to see her and to come over to discuss the situation. She asked if Tom was welcome, and I said he wasn't. Therefore, after labelling me a judgmental asshole, she told me she wasn't coming and that they would be staying at a local hotel and catching up with friends. I feel terrible about the whole situation and don't want to lose my daughter over it. My husband isn't budging, and he says he'd have to be held back if he ever saw that man again. Am I the asshole for saying he isn't welcome, or have I done the right thing? Okay. First of all, this is absolutely crazy. Like, I read ahead when the husband asked how old Tom was. I mean, 44, what is a 44-year-old doing at a college university party? Like, this is absolutely mental. I mean, you could make the argument that love is love and, it doesn't really have age bounds. They're both over the age of 18. I mean, barely. She's 20. But, I mean, this is just mental. Obviously, I'm young and I could not imagine being with a 44-year-old, especially when it's 2 years younger than my dad. Like, that is mental. But anyway, there's an update. So let's look at the update. Sorry, I was just reading the introduction to the update, and obviously they posted a brief summary, and it says, Tom happens to be 44, and it's so funny. Anyway, I was incredibly down throughout most of Sunday, so I spoke to my husband and said that I really wanted to see Ellie. However, I knew that wouldn't be possible without also seeing Tom, so I mentioned to my husband about meeting Ellie and Tom at a neutral location for brunch today. I asked my husband if he wanted to join, but he said he didn't feel in the right frame of mind at this stage, so we agreed that I would go alone. Low-key, that's big of the dad, to be saying, I don't know, maybe you guys will disagree with me, but I feel as though that's quite big of the dad to go instead of picking a fight, to not go, sorry. I was anxious throughout the drive, but when I met Ellie, those nerves subsided relatively quickly. I was generally just happy to see her and that she was all well. I still felt a bit uncomfortable around Tom, but I thought that, it's just mental that Tom is 4 years younger than her. Anyway, I still felt a bit uncomfortable. oh my goodness, like, they could have been at school together. How crazy is that? Anyway, sorry. I'm still finding it hard to wrap my head around this. I still felt a bit uncomfortable around Tom, but I thought this was the opportunity to find out more about him and his intentions, as it were. We sat down and I tried to find out as much information about Tom as possible. When I asked him to elaborate on being known around a college town and being at the same party as Ellie, Tom said he used to go to the same college when he was Ellie's age, 24 years ago. Loved the place and decided to never leave. Throughout his time, he still frequented the main bars and places that college students do, which meant he remained in the community in some form. I found it quite an unsettling response, but remained polite. In terms of other details I learned, Tom has never been married, nor does he have any children. He works as a software engineer and enjoys cooking and meditation in his spare time. What a cop-out answer, I can't lie. Oh, so what hobbies do you have? Oh, cooking and meditation. Something felt off about him, but maybe I already had my preconceptions. Ellie spoke more about what a good match they were and how much in common they had. When I asked her to elaborate, she spoke about how they both love the same spots around town and campus, with apparently the same love of sushi. And she's never met someone so mature and understanding. Well, mature is a word for him. Tom also said that Ellie was perfect for him and he was serious. I probed if he'd had many other relationships with younger women. Ellie didn't enjoy this question, but Tom said that he generally didn't do relationships, yet something about Ellie had drawn him in. Eventually, after about 2 hours, we ended the brunch. Ellie said how nice it had been, and she was so happy I'd shown an interest in Tom before asking whether they could both come to dinner some evening. I told her that would be nice, but I would have to speak to her dad. Tom shook my hand, and that was that. My husband remains reluctant, but I feel it's the right thing to do if we want to maintain a relationship with Ellie. I didn't like Tom off first impressions, and this hasn't done much to convince me. Something is just off there, and some of his answers solidified my thoughts about him not being right for Ellie. I suppose I'll have to remain open-minded, but appreciate any thoughts. I mean, again, it's just continuing, why is he 44? Why is he at a party? Why? I don't know. No judgment as well about him not being married or not having any children. For some people, I mean, life is hard, or some people, they just don't want it, and then they change their mind or whatever. The top comment says, please make sure she's on reliable birth control. And I'm just a bit I don't know. I would be really interested to know how long. Oh, 5 months. They've been together for 5 months. 5 months is not long. There's another update that I can read. I feel as though if the parents were to tell Ellie, look, we are not comfortable with your relationship with Tom, he is far too old for you, you're going through a phase, stop this madness, okay, carry it out then. Again, don't get pregnant, don't marry him, but just do your thing and then move on. It's not something, I think it would be mental for you to ruin your relationship with your parents over a 5-month relationship. Because let's be real, if all of this is happening, especially while she's in college, she's only in, I guess her second year of college, she still has so much life ahead of her that I feel as though she will come to her senses. She's going through a phase, she's just left home, she's going through a phase, and she wants to not rebel against the parents, but kind of just rebel against society's norms. She doesn't want to conform, and that's totally normal. That's really, really normal and really quite usual for someone of her age, and I'm assuming American because they keep saying college. Okay, what has Ellie grown up with that Tom hasn't? The internet. Not quite iPhones, but basically iPhones. When would she have been born? 2005? So, oh no, this was a year ago. Okay, so 2004. Yeah, so she'll have been 3 when the first iPhone came out. Obviously internet and stuff like that, and I don't know, YouTube. Tom was there for the invention of YouTube. What the fuck? After I came home from brunch, I spoke to my husband about the possibility of Tom and Ellie joining us for dinner one evening. My husband was completely against it, but I told him that if we still wanted to exercise some degree of control over the situation before we pushed Ellie away entirely, this was something we had to agree to. It took a lot of convincing, but my husband agreed and we invited Tom and Ellie to come round the Saturday just gone. Remember, this was a year ago. Before then, I ended up talking to my oldest daughter and Ellie's sister, Holly, who's 23. So she's 3 years older than Ellie. Holly was shocked, and Ellie had told her nothing. Interesting that Ellie hadn't told Holly. Because, I mean, like, their years are close. You know, like they're only 3 years apart. They'll have grown up together, most likely. And I don't know, maybe on some level, like, Ellie already realises that she's doing something wrong, and that's why she hasn't told Holly, because Holly is the voice of reason, the same as but I don't know, I feel as though if your parents tell you not to do something, you're more likely to do it. But if your older sister, slightly older sister, tells you, look, this is absolutely mental, you're gonna be like, oh no. Maybe she's like avoiding the truth a little bit, I don't know. Holly decided to do some social media digging, but struggled because Tom didn't have much of an online presence. She said she was coming to dinner on Saturday, although I was reluctant because it seemed like it would spiral. But I eventually said yes. Oh my goodness, yes, Holly is coming. So we get to the dinner on Saturday and Holly just continually grills Tom. It was far, far worse than I did. She asked him if younger girls were his type, why someone his age is still hanging around at college parties, and other small remarks. Very valid, by the way. Ellie told her multiple times to leave him alone, and I tried to act as a mediator. My husband was just silently seething, and I could tell how uncomfortable he felt in Tom's presence. Eventually, Tom and Ellie said they had some big news to share. Ellie announced that she and Tom were planning to move in together for the upcoming college year. Oh my goodness. I almost spat my drink out. Ellie had planned to live with other friends, and when I questioned this, Tom answered that he realised he probably won't have another... Yeah, because he might die. Because he's so old. But also, the mum, she writes really well. Like, I want to know what she does for a job, because it's really nice to read the stuff. Ellie... Sorry. Tom answered that he realised that he probably won't have another long-term relationship. Ellie makes him so happy, and he doesn't want to waste any time with who I want to be my wife and the future mother of my children. Right, this is weird. The fact that they're, like, picking up the pace, rushing it. I mean, it's been 5 months, and obviously they arrived. They came on this trip back to Ellie's hometown to meet her parents, to tell them this news. Like, to tell them, we're moving in together, I need to meet your parents, blah, blah, blah. I couldn't remember the last time my husband had shouted like that, and I think it surprised Ellie. Holly said it was deserved, and said she needed to get away from that pedo freak. It all ended up with Ellie leaving in tears with Tom, my husband going upstairs, and I was just inconsolable. Oh, bless. I've reached out to Ellie since, but she hasn't responded. I don't want her to move in with Tom, and it seems like he's trying to derail her whole life. She's 20 and she does not need to be married and have kids, especially with someone his age. She's never had a relationship before, and she appears infatuated to the extent that she's not going to listen. Right, it's very interesting that she's never had a relationship before. My husband told me that if Ellie marries Tom, that is it, and he wouldn't want a relationship with her going forwards. Oh, I don't know. I can't agree with that and will always love Ellie, but it doesn't mean that the whole situation hasn't made me incredibly sad. Oh, this is going so sad. It's weird that they're rushing it. At this point, my husband lost it and told Tom to get out of the house. Tom stood up and seemed affronted, and Ellie started crying. Let me read you what the top comment says. This is from another viewer. He 100% knows what he's doing. He's driving a wedge between you and Ellie. He's moving her in with him instead of letting her move in with her friends. He's isolating her so she relies on him. I'm sure Ellie's friends clocked the creepy Tom the second they met him, and he knew it, so they obviously couldn't stay. Just drive into her head that she can always come to you no matter what she needs. Oh yeah, like that is exactly what the mum, and hopefully one time at some point the dad, should do, is just show them that they'll always support her, because she's going to need that when they do break up. I mean, and the comment itself says, and I completely agree, that she could wake up tomorrow and realise it, or it could take her 10 years. Okay, here is a 1-year update. It was posted 4 hours ago. Okay, I'm gonna read it. This one is shorter. Oh my god, what's happened? Oh my goodness. Oh, this is really actually quite sad. This is such a sad story. Oh my goodness, it's not as engaging as I'd kind of hoped, like exciting and riveting. Okay, so much has happened since then that has been so overwhelming that it caused me to completely forget about this. Basically, the TLDR is Ellie is engaged and pregnant. The engagement happened around January and only around after a year of dating, and the pregnancy was announced in March. Ellie is keeping the baby and is due late this year. I'm still heartbroken and struggling to come to terms with the whole affair. Ellie was so bright and cheery with an active social life. Oh, dreadful. Now she lives with Tom in her college town, despite having dropped out of college herself due to the pregnancy, with barely any friends due to most of them distancing themselves from her because of Tom. My husband is also low contact with Ellie and wants nothing to do with Tom, while my daughter Holly also feels the same way and wants nothing to do with Ellie or her baby for as long as she remains with the predator. Man, that's just not the way to go about it. Like, she needs help. Like, she needs to know that her family's there for her. I still keep in contact with Ellie as much as I can, not only because I love her, but also as I know that if things crumble, she'll have no one to turn to. She's ostracised herself, which makes me incredibly sad, and I never thought things would turn out this way. There was a glimmer of hope around March time. Okay, that's when the pregnancy was announced, where Ellie called me on the phone in tears. After discovering that Tom had cheated on her, unsurprisingly, with another college student and an even younger one than Ellie. Although I did try and talk some sense into her and figured this would be a wake-up call, she decided to stay with him after a combination of love bombing and finding out she was pregnant. The wedding has been set for next summer, so the baby can be focused on for now. My husband and other daughter have already decided they won't go to the wedding, and many others on my side of the family are uncomfortable of the idea. Wow, this is dread. Like, this is so sad. She is so trapped. Like, Ellie, if you hear this, you need to leave. Like, this is so weird. Okay, this is an interesting one. Am I the asshole for putting a stop to my 12-year-old daughter's period party? Let me set the stage. My wife and I, 43M, 42F, have 2 daughters, 7 years apart. 19-year-old was at college in a different state when this happened. Girls are very different. 19-year-old is outgoing, even extroverted, loves meeting new people, trying new things, etc. 12-year-old is a shy, a homebody, finds things she's comfortable with and sticks to them. In fairness, 19-year-old was kind of like this until she was 16 or so. A couple months ago, 12-year-old comes to me in my home office, obviously upset. Stammers a bit, then manages to tell me that she just got her first period. I play the supportive dad, comfort her and get her a box of sanitary pads my wife had bought earlier in the year, guessing this was going to happen sooner or later, and go over the instructions with her. Oh, that's actually really sweet of the dad. She goes into her bathroom, does what she has to do, thanks me for my help. I got her some ice cream and Midol and told her there was nothing to be embarrassed about and she could always come to me for anything. Wife gets home later that day. 12-year-old tells her what happened. My wife starts crying, my little girl is growing up, etc. Then asks who should be invited to the period party, which I only knew of from listening to Bert Kreischer, if they were a thing when our 19-year-old started. She never asked for one. 12-year-old immediately closes it off, saying she doesn't want a period party, doesn't want anyone to know. Wife tries to talk to her some more, but 12-year-old ignores her and goes to her room. Wife tries to enlist my aid in changing her mind, but I tell her she said she didn't want one, don't worry about it. 2 days later, I get home from running errands, and before I can even make it to the stairs, 12-year-old runs up to me and asks if she can do her homework in my office. I'm confused, but say sure, and she bolts upstairs. At this point, I started to suspect what was going on, and walked into the living room to find out that my wife had not... My wife had not only decorated it like something which wouldn't have looked out of place on my super sweet 16, but there were several family friends, all women, and a few I recognised as my neighbourhood mothers. I beckoned my wife into the hall. She asked where the 12-year-old is, and I tell her she wanted to do her homework in my office. She rolls her eyes and starts to move past me, but I step in front of her. The husband is like, oh, she doesn't want this, you need to leave her alone, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, this is only for women, you don't know anything about it, it's never happened to you, stuff like that. At this point, I gave up. Point to my wife, no, I've never had a period. Okay, interesting, didn't know that. But I had 3 older sisters and a live-in girlfriend before my wife and I met, plus we've been married almost 21 years. I'm pretty well versed. She again tries to move past me, but I don't move. Yeah, low-key, like the dad has more experience than his daughter, so. She goes back to the living room and tells the other ladies the period party is off because I'm being a jackass. I lose it, follow her in and let the women know, calmly but in no uncertain terms, that I appreciate what they wanted to do, but the 12-year-old made it explicitly clear that she did not want this party, and my wife is trying to pressure her into it. Several of the mums frown at her. My wife starts to backpedal, talking about how she didn't think the 12-year-old was being serious, but I ignore her and begin taking down the decorations. Everyone clears out shortly, and once the coast is clear, 12-year-old comes back downstairs. My wife gives her a half-assed, in my opinion, apology, again saying she didn't think the 12-year-old was serious, but the 12-year-old also ignores her and starts doing her homework in her usual place at the table. My wife was pissed at me for a week, claiming I undermined her authority as a parent, apparently by not helping her force our daughter into something she didn't want to do, and made her look bad in front of the neighbourhood mums. So am I the asshole? I mean... The top comment is very funny. It says, not the asshole. Puberty is an awkward, embarrassing time. Having your parents shine a spotlight on every confusing milestone would be a nightmare. Imagine a first pube party or a wet dream dinner. That was funny. Personally, I don't agree with him humiliating his wife in front of the neighbourhood and family. Like, he could have... In the dialogue that he's written, it says, fine, have it your way. She said the period party is off. Like, you could have left it and then... if you wanted to, like, argue with her when everyone else leaves. I don't really agree with her. Like, let it go, do you know what I mean? Like, let her say that you're a jackass to the women. Like, it's whatever, who cares? They all call their husbands jackass. And, like, Loki, you kind of proved her point by being a jackass, by, you know, humiliating your wife in front of everyone else. I'm not saying that the wife is in the right here, but I don't think he should have done that. I do wonder what culture she's from, because maybe in certain cultures it's something different. I don't know, but whatever. That's our story. I think not the asshole for sticking up for your daughter. Like, your wife was being an asshole about that. You're not the asshole, but then by you humiliating her in front of the neighbours, like, I can't lie, like, you're done. You are done. Am I the asshole for skipping my brother's wedding because I wasn't invited to the engagement party? I, 28 male, have a twin brother. Growing up, we were inseparable, and until recently, I thought that we were still very close. I was always more of a shy nerd, and he was an extrovert that played sport throughout our childhood and high school, but we spent almost all of our time together by choice. We went our separate ways when college came. He stayed local in Arizona, and I went to college in Portland. When I graduated, I stayed there because I fell in love with the city. My friends are here, my professional networks from internships were here, etc. But I always flew back home for holidays, events, birthdays, etc. My brother announced on Instagram that he and his girlfriend of 3 years got engaged. I was incredibly happy for him and texted him congrats. That is mental. Why are you... I'm not being funny. Of course, post your engagement on Instagram if that's what you want to do. But text your brother first. You know, text your mum, brother, grandparents, whoever. Text them first and then post. Could not imagine finding out about my twin brother's engagement through Instagram. I don't know. Not even in a DM too, it's crazy. He mentioned they were planning to have an engagement party in 6 to 8 weeks, and I told him to let me know so I can book a flight to come celebrate. I was never told a date. If I brought it up with him or anyone in my family, they'd change the subject or say it's still being planned and confirmed. After a few weeks, I texted my brother to ask about the date because it must be getting close and I don't want to pay for a last-minute flight. No response. I asked my mum for details and she said, it's not really an engagement party, just a small dinner with family, there's no need to come down for it. I mean, even if it is just a small dinner with family, he's some of the closest family there is, like he's a twin brother. I eventually found out that it was, in fact, a big party. They rented out an entire restaurant for 4 hours and there were about 80 guests. Family, friends, cousins, everyone. Everyone was told I couldn't make it. My aunt, who was like a second mother to me, texted me that she was very disappointed I couldn't make the time to join, and I replied that I would have happily come, but I was not invited. Word spread quickly about my snub, and my parents and my brother tried to say it was just a misunderstanding. That was almost over a year ago. Since then, I've tried to get to the bottom of why I wasn't invited. Over the course of months, it went from, it was just meant to be a small gathering, to, I don't know what happened, there must have been miscommunication, to, it's just a party, it's no big deal. I asked my brother if he was mad at me. I thought maybe his fiancée didn't like me. Even if she or he didn't want me there, why were my parents okay with this? This really wasn't like them. Christmas and Easter were awkward as hell because no one wanted me to address the elephant in the room, and any conversation about anything was like small talk with strangers. When I visited in May for my sister's birthday, I left early after my sister said, "You moved so far away, it's like you're not really family anymore. You make everything feel so weird now." 9 months ago I got the save the date announcement, and 6 months ago I got the invitation to the wedding. I wasn't asked to be in the wedding party, which is fine and wasn't surprising at the point. My sister and younger brother were asked to be in the wedding party, so another snub. That is interesting. The next one. I also didn't get a +1 for my girlfriend I've been seeing for almost a year and a half. My sister, however, got a +1 for her friends with benefits. Crazy, that is crazy. So I decided I wasn't welcome, and I was probably only invited for optics and to play Happy Family. RSVP no, since I knew that would cause a shit show, I just didn't go. The wedding was this past weekend. No one contacted me about missing the rehearsal dinner, so I guess even if I did go, I wasn't invited to that either or expected to be there. I started getting calls and texts about an hour before the ceremony asking where I was, if my flight was delayed, how far along will I be, etc., and I ignored them. They stopped for a while during the ceremony but picked up again right after. I finally picked up my mum's call and she screamed, "Where the hell are you?" I replied, "In Portland, where you all prefer me to be." She said, "This is your brother's wedding, how could you embarrass us?" I answered, "It's just a party, it's no big deal, right?" It was probably the first time in my life my mother was speechless. After a few seconds of silence, I said, "Tell everyone I say hi," and hung up. Now I'm getting calls and texts from everyone saying I was being petty and ruined the day, so am I the asshole here? I feel like I'm just matching their energy and drop the rope. I mean, I definitely don't think you're the asshole. Obviously it depends on what they think you've done, because for your family to be in on it and be telling you, the fact that they'd change the subject and say that it's still being planned and confirmed is weird, because it means that it's not just your brother and his fiancée, it's your parents as well. That is very interesting. So I really do wonder what it is that they think you've done, or what it is that you have done. I think someone could make the argument saying oh, you're being petty by not going, just show up, play Happy Family, it's only a day. But at the same time, it's so petty that you didn't get a +1 for your girlfriend, and also that you weren't invited to the rehearsal dinner, and also that you're not in the wedding party. You're his twin brother. That's really weird. And I don't know why they're treating you like the asshole when you moved to Portland for college, just because he stayed local in Arizona. I don't know how far Portland is. Is Portland in Maine? And Arizona's in... I don't know how far they are, but at the end of the day, it's just a flight and a FaceTime, you know? You could have said, oh, I can't get a flight, put me on FaceTime during it, and then if it gets really shit or if someone's saying stuff, then just... I don't know, maybe that's too dystopian of me to suggest. Okay, guys, I hope you enjoyed the stories. During the video, I made a streamer/YouTuber bedroom. So I hope you enjoyed the tour as well and the relaxing gameplay. I hope you have a wonderful day, and please leave a like and comment and subscribe if you enjoy my content. Bye!